And there are a variety of factors you need to consider, but the first one is you need to be good enough to date one easily before you should even think about dating multiple girls, all right? So understand that if you are going to split your time 5 different ways and give a girl 1/5 of your attention, you have to be providing in that 1/5 as much or more than she can get from 100% of some other guy. So first and foremost, understand that you can't just get there by some gimmick. You can't just get there by some little like weird, I said this one particular magic bullet line or technique and all of a sudden it's gonna work. You have to actually offer value. People aren't inherently stupid, and someone will only take a really bad deal for a certain period of time. At some point they're like, fuck this deal sucks, I'm getting out of it. So understand that first and foremost, it is going to be about offering value and an exchange of value. It's not just about a technique. That said, if you are at that level, there are a lot of things that you can do to make it happen, and a lot of things that most guys don't do that keep them constrained to maybe a relationship or type of relationship they don't want to be in. Okay? The first thing is manage expectations from the start. What is a relationship? A relationship basically is precedent. It's basically the idea that whatever has happened before will probably continue to happen. So with that said, if the girl expects to see you every night and then all of a sudden you take it away and aren't willing to see her every night, you see her once a week, she's going to be very upset. But if on the other hand you set it up as, I'm not available that often, I'm really busy, I can only see you so often, you see her every once a week, then she'll be happy with it because that's what she expected, that's the deal she bought in for. Okay, and it's not necessarily that the girl wouldn't be happy with seeing you once a week, it's just the fact that when she was promised more and then that was taken away, she doesn't feel what she's getting, she feels the loss of what she's not getting. Okay, so you need to make sure that you frame things and manage expectations in the right way. You also have to make sure, not only in terms of your time commitment, but in terms of what you've promised her. You don't promise a girl marriage and kids and meeting her parents before sleeping with her, right? If you do that again, you've established a precedent that's not very helpful to you. So be very, very conscientious about that. Also be conscientious about, there's this idea of what we call lover versus provider, okay? There's 2 types of men in the world. One type is like, I will be there for you, I will take care of your kids, I will do anything for you, I'll bring you flowers, I'll hold the door, I'll be a gentleman, I'll throw a jacket over puddles. And that's like the provider frame, right? That's the I'll take care of you and pay your rent and make sure there's a roof over your head. Then there's the lover frame, which is I'll give you exciting experiences, I will be amazing in bed, I will arouse you and give you a range of emotions, that sort of thing, right? And it's much easier to date multiple girls from that frame of the lover than from the frame of the provider, because if you're giving the girl the good experiences, she just cares about those good experiences. But if you're in that frame of I'm providing for you, now all of a sudden any other girl that you start to provide for, she'll be extremely jealous of, okay? Because what you're providing is something that's not easily shared amongst others, right? The good emotions, who cares? More good emotions in the world doesn't take away from her good emotions, but the provider stuff, more use of your resources, definitely does. So be very conscientious about what frame you're coming from. Okay, so those are some key things. Just to reiterate the key points. Number 1, you must be offering enough value. Number 2, you need to look at your precedent. Look at what you're promising, both in terms of your time and then in terms of the nature of the relationship. Be in that lover frame, not in the provider frame. The provider frame is not going to serve you in getting into a non-monogamous relationship. It's great for monogamy. It's great for being a husband, and a father and having kids and that kind of stuff. But for a non-monogamous relationship, it's not going to serve you, okay? So those are the key fundamentals. Now let's talk about the specific techniques. In order to understand the techniques for getting into multiple long-term relationships, let's look at how a relationship usually develops in the modern society in the Western world. Typically these days, it starts off as not a super serious thing. It doesn't start off as, let's meet each other's parents and go to the village matchmaker and make sure that we're lined up properly for marriage. It's not like that anymore. It's a lot of, we met, let's go have a casual drink or a coffee or whatever and sort things out and see if we like each other. Let's take it from there, no strings, no expectations. That tends to be the typical dating frame. And by the way, if that's not your typical dating frame, it should be. Because not only is it going to do better for you in terms of having the relationship you want, it's also more effective for dating in general. The more expectation and pressure you put on a date, the more often the girls are going to make you go through multiple dates and jump through hoops in order to sleep with them. So that should be your frame anyway if it's not. That is the typical dating frame for the Western world these days. Now the great thing about that is what it means is typically when people start hooking up or start like sleeping with each other, it's in a sort of a non-exclusive manner, and it's in a manner where there aren't all these crazy, horrible like strings and expectations, that sort of thing, okay? So there is a lot more freedom to the inherent frame. That's good because that's the frame you want to have last throughout the relationship. What usually happens is it's not so serious, and then at some point, one or the other parties in the relationship comes to the other one and says, hey, look, you know what, I think we really like each other, I need this to be more serious, I'm not okay with you seeing other people, we need to discuss this. Now, obviously, first of all, if you're the man and you want to see multiple people, don't be the person bringing that discussion up. But if and when the girl brings it up, and by the way, the girl bringing it up is a good sign. That's what you need to understand. It's annoying because it's not what you want to have happen in terms of your relationship, but it's a good sign. Why? Because it means she's starting to like you more and more. And that's what you have in your favor, is that leverage of the fact that she has decided that she wants you, okay? Typically, a girl won't bring that conversation up until she's pretty sure that you're gonna give in and be exclusive with her. So at that moment when she's bringing it up is the moment when she likes you more than she has ever liked you before. It's the moment when you have maximum leverage. Understand that, okay? So what I'm about to give you right now is an example of something along the lines of the speech, the frame, the explanation that I would give a girl in that setting. Here goes. First of all, let me say two things. Number one, I'm flattered that you love me so much that you want to have this talk with me and you really do care a lot about a relationship. Number two, I want you to understand that while I'm always fine talking to you, the way that you've brought this up is fundamentally wrong. Because you're saying to me, you know, you can't be with me not exclusively and that this is a problem for you. So you're essentially giving me an ultimatum. You're essentially saying this or nothing, my way or the highway. And I don't like to deal that way. I think that we should have an open discussion and we should have like a talk as two people who love each other, but not these like threats and guilting and that sort of stuff. So I just want you to understand that fundamentally the way you've brought this up is wrong. And so the fact that it's being brought to me in this way, I'm very like, even if I wanted to say yes to it, I really can't say yes to it right now because of that. Because it would just be wrong for you to give me an ultimatum and for that to be the deciding moment in our relationship and to create, you know, what our relationship is. That would just lead to resentment and bitterness, and I don't want that. However, that said, even though I'm not going to make that decision today, and there's no way we're gonna do that in this context, I'm fully okay with talking with you and discussing this with you because I love you, and I do think, you know, obviously your feelings are important, and it's critical that we're in a relationship where we're both happy. And you know, that's what a relationship should be, right? Is that both people are happy. And you know, the thing that I love about our relationship is that when we're together, I really am happy with you. Like every time I see you, it's because I looked at my life and I thought to myself, of all the things I could do, the best thing I could do was be with you. And that makes me happy, and it makes me so excited every time I get to see you. And I love that. I don't want it to ever be a situation where when I see you, it's because I'm obligated to see you or because we made some kind of like weird contract and signed it in blood and it was like, you must see me this often and you must, you know, talk to me and call me and you must do this and not do that, because that just leads to resentment. I mean, like at my core, I'm an economist. At my core, I believe in like a free market, right? I believe in freedom of exchange, and I believe in people being free to make their own choices. And whenever people aren't free to make their own choice, whenever someone like sticks a gun to their head and says, you must buy this product, you must not buy this other product, that creates resentment. It also creates like less of a good economy. It creates an inefficient situation. And I think that right now, you and I are such a good economy because, again, like we spend a lot of time together, and it's not because I can't see other girls, it's because I choose to see you. And that's how it always should be. Because as soon as I have to see you, I'm gonna look at some other girl and think, fuck, like, maybe I'd like to sleep with her, but I can't because I'm in a relationship. Whereas now I think to myself, you know, I could be with her, and I'm with you. Clearly, I am here with you. So that's an indication I do love you in an open, happy, non-resentful way, and I want that to always be the case. The other thing is, this is kind of a long sort of glimpse into me, but I'm at a point where I'm really just I'm still figuring out exactly who I am and what I want. I don't necessarily I'm young still. I've dated a few people. I'll probably, I may date more, I may not. But to say that like I am ready to say absolutely I will never date again is pretty strong. I mean, I worry. Like, what if we were to like be exclusive and then a year from now I think to myself, that was the wrong decision, and I start to resent you for it. That would be the end of our relationship. That would be, the death of it. And I really like you and I really love us and I don't want that to happen. So I think that we should be absolutely certain of what we are and what we can be, and also absolutely certain that is what we want before we start making that move. Because one thing I know about relationships is they don't go backwards. Right? It's weird. It's kind of sad that they don't. But if you ever do become exclusive with someone and then you find out that that's not the right thing, and then you back off, it's not like you can just back off and everybody's happy. It never works. It's basically the end of the relationship. And so I would much rather that we move things forward in a slow way that we can both be happy with, and that we can just get closer by spending more time together, as opposed to become closer by imposing rules. I guess that's the big thing. It's this imposition of rules. Look, I want to be with you because I love you, not because someone said I had to. And I don't want to feel guilty if I'm not with you every minute of the day. I want to feel happy when I'm with you. And I want that to be true for you as well. I don't want you to like resent me. Right now, if it's the case that you absolutely just have gotten to a point and you really can't be with me in this way, I understand. And if that's the case, you should leave. I mean, really, like, you can leave now. But that's not what I want. I want you. And I'd be very, very sad if you made that decision. But you know what would make me even sadder? Is if being with me is making you more sad than happy. I want to make you happy. So if for your happiness, if the only way you can be happy is to leave, then you should leave. But know that that's your decision, not mine, and I'm not telling you to go. I want you to stay here. I want you to be with me because I love you. So please, 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 make the decision for us. Okay, that's a bit long-winded. It would obviously be different if I was talking to an actual girl, but let's think about the elements of that. First of all, I immediately assume the frame. I assume the frame of this decision is not being made today. You brought this to me in a bad context. You're trying to guilt me. This isn't fair, etc. So it immediately cuts off any possibility of that being the end of the discussion and a decision being made that you don't want. So right away, you take care of that. Secondly, there are a few other key elements. There's this element of like choice versus restriction, and this idea that like love should grow naturally and that you should be with each other in a way that's fun for you and not restrictive. And that's very key, and very few people could actually argue with that. I mean, almost nobody's gonna be like, I want a relationship where he's with me because someone told him to. No, people want a relationship where they're with each other because they want to be with each other. So again, that's a very strong frame that very few people could successfully argue against. So there's that. Notice throughout how I'm saying, I do love you, this is about us. Notice that I'm bringing in her emotions and her feelings, and I'm not just saying from my perspective. I do a lot of I, but there's also a lot of this is for you, this is for you. And in fact, if I were to go back and do that speech, or if I was doing it with a real girl, I would even go back and say, add in more of the you, and pause and let them talk, and let it be a dialogue, but keep that same frame, okay? And then lastly, that ability to walk away. Understand, I talked about leverage at the start, right? The moment where this conversation is coming up is the moment when you have maximum leverage. So use that to your advantage. The fact that you are willing to walk away, the fact that you're saying, look, I understand if this isn't what you want, you're not obligated, you can go, right? At that moment is the moment when she wants to leave less than she's ever wanted to leave in the history of her life. So pretty much you have that leverage, you have that ability, use it. Keep your frame, be strong, and don't waver. And then lastly, you ended on positive. It's your decision, not mine. Make the decision for us. Okay, so those are the key elements. That's the key framing. The words can vary. Obviously, you'll never just say this speech rote. It'll be a dialogue, but those are the key things that you want to get across. The biggest one being free choice, discovery, and lack of resentment. The idea that if you are in a relationship you don't want to be in, or if she's in a relationship she doesn't want to be in, that's going to lead to resentment. So you are willing to move forward. You are willing to grow together, but you don't want it to be in a restrictive way where there will be resentment, okay? One other thing you can also throw in, as you're saying that thing about you don't know if you're ready for that type of relationship yet, another really good line you can throw in is to say, I'm not there yet, but if I ever do get to that place, if and when I am there, then you're exactly the type of person who I would potentially want that with if that time ever comes, okay? So that's another thing you can add in. But the biggest thing is to keep the frame, make sure that you don't crack, and make sure that you are solid in who you are and what you want, okay? That's how you'll get the relationship you want.